You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey everybody, good evening to you. It's your friends at Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
We got a special recording session going on tonight. Not our usual.
Yeah, this is a Saturday night. It's
crazy.
Exciting. I had to.
We all changed shirts.
Yeah, for once.
Yeah. You guys said you watched Thor, so I decided I hadn't had time this week. Missed my window, so
yeah,
ran down there today and saw it.
I was really surprised
It's been out a while. You're usually the first one on this.
Honestly, it's just I usually go with my son on like that Thursday that it comes out at 4:00, first showing for things like that, and he was unable to get out of work early like usual, so I didn't go, and then then it was too late.
Yeah,
missed the boat.
Yeah,
had to work, but I got it done.
So, backtracking a little bit here because we haven't talked about this. We said we're going to talk about this. You made a little trip North Carolina.
Oh, yes. I went to Heroes Con again. I went in 2019. Was the first time for me, and when I first heard it even existed, and then then the spicy panini, that pandemic Pompito sandwich hit us, and they didn't have it, and now it's back, 2022, so...
Was this the first year back, or did they do it last time?
This is the first time back. Yeah, they canceled it the last couple of years.
Okay.
So there was a bunch of creators that were going to be there I had not met and stuff, so it seemed worthwhile. And
So this is a show with a very comic book focus, whereas most other shows in the country have zipped toward pop culture and celebrity and movies and everything nerdy under the sun. This one has stayed focused on mostly comic books.
this is there's really nothing but that there. There cannot be a con that is more just comics and creators than this. That's all it is. You barely see much cosplay. This is people talking to creators and buying comics, getting them signed. There's a few people there with booths that think they're coming there to sell a bunch of their, like, you just tell they have these sad looks on their faces like they're going to sell a bunch of this stuff, but
I know that look.
Yeah. They're pushed off to the sides of the place around the perimeter, and I'm just like, try not to make eye contact as I go by.
Oh, when you accidentally walk down that aisle, like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. Just keep walking.
It happened. But anyway, it was a phenomenal time again, and I love the experience of going there, meeting these people, having little short interactions with them, and checking them off my list of, having that comic signed. So I look at that comic and be like, man, I remember meeting them. It was a good time. So anyway, I'll quickly go through what I got signed, see if I remember what happened. I had this... First thing I did, I was there 2 days. Went that Friday morning, as soon as they went in, I had to decide who I was going to first, because it was, this is going to be your shortest line, or you run to first.
Right,
so
right.
I went to Chris Claremont, and that was a good choice, because he was long-winded with everybody, and, just was in no hurry, and his line would take forever. So got up there, had my... Avengers Annual 10, first appearance of Rogue and Madeline Pryor, I think. And I'd already had Al Milgrom and Michael Golden sign it in 2019. So Chris signed it. He immediately was like, he wants to talk about it. He was talking about I said I'm actually an Avengers guy technically, and he was like, me too. You know, I went and knocked out all those X-Men books, but you know, he was just joking. But he started talking about Carol Danvers because she was an Avenger and he had written her some in X-Men, so he was trying to make that connection with me, and he's saying he never really knew how to write her and all this stuff, and had a short chat, but he was great to meet. Got a picture with him. I posted it a few weeks ago. Went over and got a line from John Romita Jr. Took Invincible Iron Man 126, the famous cover, putting on the pieces of armor, and he put the JR on there. It was super nice. Everybody's super nice.
Yeah.
I haven't run into any jerks yet that I recall.
On Friday there's some.
On Friday, yeah. I've yet to do a Sunday at one.
A hungover Sunday is a different story.
That's probably true. I had this Fear Itself variant with Cap. That's actually Bucky Cap, but it's a beautiful cover I love, and I got Fraction wrote it. I wish I would have got him to sign it when I met him a couple years ago, but I got Stuart Eminem to sign it, Von Grawbadger, the anchor, Laura Martin, the colorist. So that was cool. Ron Wilson that did this cover of What If, Thor and Conan. Thor battled Conan. I always liked this cover. Had it. He signed it. Nobody at his table. He started signing with a pen, and some handler came up and like, "You want a Sharpie?" And I was like, it was like he'd never signed a comic book before. I was like,
let me get my pencil out here.
Yeah, exactly. He was just sitting there drawing. That's what they're. If nobody's at their table, they're just working.
Yeah. On
sketches or something more, just their regular work. I also had Claremont sign this X-Men 251 that I like, Wolverine on the cross. If I ever meet Silvestri, I'll have him sign it. Then I was like, I don't get enough nonsense. Where's Larry Hama?
Yeah.
Went over to find him.
Friend of show, Larry Hama.
Yeah, friend of show, Larry Hama. He's sitting at a table, like in the middle, right smack in the middle of the con. He's at a table. Nobody is there. Nobody is in line for Larry Hama. I'm like, this is so freaking weird. There's a ton of people there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just walk up. I was like, hey, Larry, I was wanting to get a couple things signed. And he's, oh, sure, yeah. I'd had Zach and McLeod sign the G.I. Joe 63 with the minefield, Snake Eyes and Scarlet. So he signed that, and then I was looking for something else for him to sign. I went through some G.I. Joe. I'd looked up, what specific, because G.I. Joe 21, he drew that, right? Yeah. And 26, he also, I don't know whether he completely drew the whole thing or not, but it's like the only two issues that even mark as him having duties on art. So I grabbed 26 for $5, and he pulled out, ooh, that's mint. I was like, I don't think so. I just paid $5 for it. He's like, oh, it looks pretty mint to me. He saw it. I was like, well, it's in good condition. Yeah. But he was really nice. Got my picture with him. That was a thrill.
I'm curious if did he have any art at the table?
I don't think so.
He'll do sketches for people, but I didn't know if he had some pre-made or if you had to stand and wait for him to draw.
There was a lot of clutter of stuff that he was like working on. He was doing work that people had bought sketches, I'm sure. Yeah. I was very tempted to have him do buy a sketch, but I didn't even ask how much they were. And I probably should have done that.
I thought of that too. After like you were posting stuff, I was like, why the hell? I was like, why didn't I ask Seth to like get a sketch or something while he was down there? I was like, it never even crossed my mind when we were talking.
Yeah, because I could have done it and picked it up the next day.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't do it for myself either.
He was posting some stuff on his Facebook page about being down there for the first time. Like he put up a very nice couple posts just about how much he enjoyed Heroes Con and some of his experiences there, and he'd never been there before. Like he was very high on it. I was like, well, that's pretty cool.
It's a great.
I'm sure they treat him well. Like I imagine at these bigger shows, the A-listers are the ones who get to go to the green room and get free coffee. And like I could see them pushing him out of the way so this actor could, right this way, sir.
Yeah.
But at this show, these are the celebrities, and so I'm sure they get top-notch red carpet.
Oh yeah. It's his. He has that sign there on his table. Will kill for coffee. Like he people bring him coffee. When they come see him usually. Jonathan Hickman was there.
I always wonder what he's like. He seems. I can't imagine having a conversation with him because I imagine him as like on a whole other plane of existence. Or he's just a big nerd.
No, he reminded me. No, he didn't come off like a nerd. He was very, very friendly and just kind of and just blah 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 talking. He was talking to some kid in front of me with his mom, and the kid asked him something I couldn't hear, but he was just like very happy-go-lucky, nice guy. I know that. I mean, I was there like in line. I knew he was coming back to the table at this certain time. He had done some panel with Scotty Young. I don't know what they're working on together, but they did a panel together. And then he came in. He knew he was late. He came in and sat down and was just signing. He was just like in a super good mood, nice. I don't know whether he's like that all the time, but he was super nice to us. And I signed this Avengers cover I like. It's hard to see there. I had Laura Martin sign it too, but hers, whatever Sharpie she was using, I almost went back to her table and said, throw that in the garbage because it's not drying like everybody else's, and it's smeared. It's the only one that got smeared. And he also signed East to West 1, and Nick Dragotta, the artist, was there also. I had him sign it, and he drew this doodle. It's hard to see. It takes you a minute to notice it, but it's like a brim of a hat and eyes and face there that he drew, but it looks like scribbles if you don't look at it right. Scotty Young was back at his table. So I got the obligatory Scotty Young. I did a Captain America cover. Super, super nice, especially after the guy in front of me had 19 things signed. So he was in a real good mood to get that guy's money. $5 a piece, that adds up. But I had Ron Friends, who I think did layouts or something for this. One of my probably my favorite issue of all time when Cap picks up the hammer. Mm-hmm. So I want anybody I can get to sign this. I did. He was acted a little perturbed though that I brought him this. He's like, out of all the things, this is what you bring me. He's like, I was like, yeah, but this is my favorite thing. So he was like, all right, I accept that. The parents of comics were there, Louise and Walt Simonson. So I'd had Charles Vess sign the Web of Spider-Man 1 cover last time, and she wrote this issue, so she signed it, and that was pretty awesome. She was super sweet and nice. Got my pic with her, and had Mark Bagley was there, just like no line. He was just doing sketches, for people. He kind of made a comment like, you can't not come. He's like, they pay them pretty good, like you said, and a good person. He's like, you almost can't say no to coming to this. And he was just sitting there doing sketches that people had bought, paid for him to do, and covers, on those variant blank covers and things. I stopped him for a second, and he signed my Thunderbolt 1. It's nice. It's kind of a sarcastic guy, which I appreciate. Steranko was there. I went ahead and paid the $50. It was by large. I did not pay the $50 last time when Neil Adams was there, and I wasn't going to make that mistake again because it bit me in the butt.
Yeah,
it was $20 when I got Neil Adams. And
It was
felt that
5
was a
the
little
first
much.
time I saw him. 20 years ago in Columbus, it was 5. Then
Which was like that was like
ridiculous.
Wow, no one does that. Like what?
Yeah.
You're charging like any amount.
Anyway, I should have done it. So I like Stranko better. Anyway, I was like, I got to experience Stranko. It was worth. I don't know if it was worth $50, but it was worth the memory.
Yeah. You'll forget about that $50, but you'll remember the interaction.
Oh yeah, it was totally worth it. He was just a character that just everything you wanted him to be. He looks like, I mean, he's shorter than I am, and I'm not very tall. He is just like a little old man that I was like, oh my gosh, this is the right decision because he could go at any time. Kind of looking at him, he's got his suit on with the turtleneck and just looks exactly what you think. And then the closer I get to him, this guy is going to outlive me. He's got his leg up on the table. He's just animated, talking to everybody, and yada yada. He's just like so into it. He had all this stuff. His handlers were really like building him up too. It was just like they knew what they were there to do. This is Stranko, and we're his henchmen, and blah blah blah. Anyway, I laid down.
You said it was big Mendelbaum energy.
Oh yeah, yeah. When he shook my hand, it was go time. It was go time. I brought a Cap 110. One of those covers I like, with the Hulk and Cap and Bucky, and he's like, "What do you want me to do with this?" I was like, "You do whatever you want with it." Well, I think I'm gonna take it across the street, order me a stiff drink, and sit down and read it, and just kind of laughing like, "Haha, you shouldn't have said that," type thing. I was like, "Well, I'll go with you. Let's go." And he started talking about like getting his henchmen together tonight because he's big on Twitter. Every Sunday night he does TNT and he tells some story and he's just insane. And he calls anyone that is his fan his henchman. And he was going to try to get them together tonight to go drink. I swear if I had not been up all night, I would have just said, when is this happening? But I had no energy. So that was great. The end of the day... Oh, where I lost one somewhere along the line in here. I went and found. Anyway, I don't know where that issue is, but I finally got in line for Walt Simonson. I saw him in the bathroom once, but actually finding him at his table was near impossible because he was all about just going and visiting everyone. He was walking around. I think he did a panel or something, but when he was supposed to be at his table, he was barely there. And that was the one thing it was kind of irritating people because you only had so many hours in the day, and you wanted to spend how much time in lines, waiting on somebody. So anyway, he finally sat down, and I got in his line. I had the one issue of X-Men that he drew, and so I had him sign that, got his picture, and he was really nice. And he, then at the last, I had time to like do one thing before the end of the first day. I went over. It's like, well, he signed that. I gotta have Chris Claremont sign it too. I'm going back to Chris Claremont, so I go back over there, and they've got his line capped off, and there's like still 10 or 15 people standing there. And I go up to the guy working. I was like, I just have one issue. What's that? Like 15 more minutes? Because he just takes forever. Yeah. And I got him to laugh, so he let me in line. So I was the last guy in line. I go up there, and when I finally got up there to him, this is 9 hours after I was there, in the morning having him sign something, and he gets it, looks at me, and it's just like, I was like, I had to have you sign this. Walt signed it. He's like, that's great. Yeah, I think he recognized my shirt. I had a Saga shirt on. I think I had this Saga shirt on. And it just clicked something in his head. He goes, "You're the Avengers guy." And he starts talking about Carol Danvers, who was in the issue I was having him sign right then. And he just immediately flips the opens the book up, flips it open, facing me, and begins reading it to me, reciting it to me without looking at it. He knows the script, and he's like, oh yeah, this is she was binary. And I was like, which was the style at the time? And it made a stupid joke that he had just kept on talking, and he was like, he's doing the sound effects. He's like, whammo. She comes to the Rogue comes to the mansion, and she hits her whammo, and da da da. And I was like, what is happening? Chris Claremont is reading me a comic he wrote. That was awesome. Next day, I came back for just like 3 hours, got some stuff down. The number one thing I wanted to do, Roy Thomas was there. Ran over, got in his line. He was only going to be there that day, I believe. And so I got Avengers 57, first appearance of the Vision. So that was awesome. And he was cool, nice, old guy. Jim Starlin was there. I got my Infinity Gauntlet 1 signed. I'll never get that, George Perez. I got into the signing game too late. But him, he's nice. I don't even know. I was surprised that I bought this issue 2 or 3 years ago. I bought this Uncle Scrooge issue, A Life of Times, Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
296. It was part of like a 12-issue storyline that podcast that got me into these Omnis, buying all these Omnis, was talking about. He loved this story, and so I bought the final issue of it because I wanted to read it. So I bought a nice copy of it, and at the end of it, the whole deal is he's gets back home, jumps into his pit of money, and he's just like swimming around in it. And Donald and the nephews are standing there, and they're just like, it's so sad. He cares all about this money and whatever. But then you see all these balloons, thought balloons, from Scrooge's perspective, and every bit of this money is a reminder of something he did in his life, some adventure he was on. And so it's like, that's what the money was all about, was all of his experiences. So I had this issue, and I took it with me because Don Rosa was there. He did it. He made it. So I had him sign that.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah.
I was like, that. Thought Cliff would like that.
Yeah.
I had $10 left, so I had been carrying this issue around, and it kind of made a fretful ride home for the tolls. I forgot. I didn't have any cash. But I had Klaus Janson sign this Daredevil issue before, and this is the only one that Larry Hama wrote when Frank Miller was on hiatus for a short bit, and so was this what Klaus drew, and I think Larry Hama wrote it, and I bring it up there to him, and he's like, oh, that's that Daredevil I did. I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, well, he gets it out, and he's showing it to me. He's like, see here, I was, stepping in for Frank Miller, and I was not going to mess this up. So I did the layouts for this. I was like, very specific how I wanted it. He's like, I wanted it to look like Frank Miller, and he was showing me how, and the panels they're very Frank Miller. And he's like, and then Klaus Janson do it, so that was definitely selling it. Looked like Frank Miller, So he was real excited to, sign that, tell me a little story about it. So did that. I left very content. It was definitely worth the trip.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So I'm already like, do I want to go to Baltimore Comic-Con this year? There's a bunch of people going to be there. But I was talking to a guy there who had been to both. He actually lives in Baltimore. He said this Heroes Con it's very much like Heroes Con. He said these two are the most creator-centric. Heroes Con's a little more wide open. Like there's a lot of room in that building. Like it's very air. You never really. I wore a mask whenever I was not getting something signed.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really take any chances, but it also was very wide open and airy. You felt like you were going to be fine. So he said it's a little more tight at Baltimore, so I'm still pondering. We'll see what things are like. But there's supposed to be a bunch of people there.
I definitely... I was getting con envy that weekend. There was a lot of shows going on in our region, and you were at that one, and I was like, I've not really missed going to these things, but until this weekend, I'm like, man, I want to go to a show.
Yeah, it really fills me up with my comic love. Like, where before I'm like picking out some issues to get signed, I'm like, I gotta thin this out. I gotta get rid of some of these comics, which I still do. There's a lot of stuff that I don't care to hold on to. I want to cut it down to the stuff I really want to have, that 1,000 issues or whatever, and now I get back from the thing and I'm immediately like, okay, I need to order one of these special custom cabinets I saw and put it in my living room. It's just like,
made out of velvet.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I've been going through my collection and uploading it into a...
Oh, I love to do that, yeah.
So, like, I got to my box of autograph stuff, and I was going through all those, and in the back of it, I had all these programs from Mid-Ohio Con.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, 2001 through 2005 or so. And so, I'm in college or right afterwards, and I didn't have a ton of a collection back then for people to get signed, but they did these programs every year, and they would have, like, a guest list where you could, with all their names on it. And I'm flipping through here, and I've got Dave Cockrum's autograph, Marv Wolfman's autograph. I'm like,
nice.
When did I meet these people? And I did not own one Teen Titans comic. What was wrong with me?
Yeah, you didn't have that first appearance of Black Cat at the time?
Yeah. So this is like the first show I ever went to. Dave Gibbons was there.
Ooh, nice.
Wow.
He did a little Rorschach sketch, and I'm like. In my brain, I'm like, yeah, that just happens all the time. He'll be here every year. I'll get to meet it. Like, I've never been in the same state as Dave Gibbons since then. At the year 2000.
Oh,
like,
that's awesome.
So
though.
Yeah, getting a chance to meet these people when and where you can't, like, yeah, it's I don't know, it's special.
Yes, that's awesome. Oh, it's just that it's a like I said, it fills you up. It's a very puts a pep in my step for a couple months.
Yeah.
I'm still feeling it. I'm just like, yeah, I really enjoy the heck out of that, and just seeing all these people just excited about the same thing you're excited about, and without all the extra stuff, like you said, there's not all the celebrity stuff at these particular ones. So
yeah, especially in an industry where these people aren't interviewed on talk shows, and like you don't know their personalities, or it's actually getting to be in the same room with them is like the first time what's this guy like? I've only seen his name on a page.
Yeah, it's very surprising to me the amount just the high percentage of really great people they seem to be. They're all they seem to treat each person individually and well, and it could easily be just a slaughterhouse, just pushing you through. But I have not had that experience. Oh,
well, good. I'm glad we got to finally hear about it a little bit, and because I been other than seeing the pictures, I was kind of wondering how it went, and
another success.
Pretty big show, so.
Really big shoe.
So this past week, we got the I think this was one of our most anticipated movies to come out this year if we go back and listen to
I don't remember what number it was on our list, but it was definitely in the top 10 of anticipated movies. Probably top 5.
I know we said we thought it would be bigger than Doctor Strange because Thor was much more
known or
audience.
Right.
He is known.
The 29th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Wow.
The 4th Thor standalone film. Thor, Love and Thunder.
Kids, get your popcorn now. Let me tell you the story of the space Viking, Thor Odinson. He was no ordinary man. He was a god. After saving planet Earth for the 500th time, Thor set off on a new journey. Well, he got in shape. He went from dad bod to god bod. And after all that, he reclaimed his title as the one and only Thor. Oh, spoke too soon.
Jane? The old ex-girlfriend.
What's it been like? 3, 4 years?
8 years, 7 months and 6 days, give or take.
Am I, sensing feelings?
Well, you're right. The only ones who gods care about is themselves. So this is my vow. All gods will die. I just want to say that was very, very impressive what you did back there.
He's just my first bad guy.
You never forget your first. You are not like the other gods of Kill. Because I have something worth fighting for.
Taika Waititi is back for the second time since Ragnarok, writer and director. Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, Christian Bale, Tessa Thompson, Russell Crowe, and others.
Yeah, a few others. Yeah, I was super excited to go see this thing. Went and saw it with Michael. Went Sunday after it came out, and made sure we got the big theater. And yeah, I have you guys experienced like super long trailers all of a sudden before the last couple movies you've seen?
Marietta's not too bad.
Marietta today was not.
Okay.
There was only like 3 trailers and they weren't long. So
Well, the last couple, I think this and I think Bob's Burgers movie and maybe even Doctor Strange. I saw them all in Parkersburg, and it's like 30 minutes of commercials and trailers after, it says movie starts at 6, and I'm sitting there like looking at my phone at 6:30 and the movie hasn't started, and it's like I'm all for trailers, but it aggravates me so much that I'm like, I'm kind of on a schedule here. Like
that's a big complaint at AMC and stuff too. You get all that stuff, and then you get Nicole Kidman telling you about movies being magical and all. It's just like you get everything.
Yeah, I could just show up 30 minutes late and not miss any of the movie at this point. So I was just going to mention that, but yeah. So yeah.
Whereas a typical Marietta opening night, Thursday night, late show, 9:30, about maybe 20 people there.
Yeah.
There was a longer line waiting to get my ticket than there was people in the theater.
Gotcha. So yeah, Seth, you just saw it a few hours ago, so it's pretty fresh with you. I don't know. I mean, I'm curious. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I expected it to be, kind of funny, but something Ragnarok-ish, I guess, I thought. And when I went and saw Ragnarok the first time, I was just kind of like, eh. But the more times I watched it, the more I liked it.
I have never rewatched it.
Really?
And that's a lot of people's favorite Marvel movie because of that vibe. And I did not love it when I saw it, so I've never returned to it. I get it. I have reassessed it in my head. I understand that is what it is now. I even like the lean into humor with Thor and all that. I guess I wasn't expecting it to go that far. So I went into this today. I was like, okay, this is going to be silly.
Right.
I was telling myself, so I didn't over expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the exact same vibe I did with Ragnarok, where I don't have anything bad to say about this movie. I enjoyed the time in the theater, but it just wasn't quite what I wanted from a Thor adventure movie.
Did you kind of feel
that
like
things have to be dark and serious and brooding? That's not the Thor they've established. I get it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know, just something about everything being a joke in a movie with a very deadly serious villain, a movie that deals with cancer diagnosis and lost love and children in peril. Like these are not comedic beats.
Yeah,
right. They tried
so.
They tried to. There was some script in there where they tried to have emotional moments, and they just didn't land. Like, because of all that humor. And I was like, man, I feel like you're almost wasting this story that was, so emotional to just for some jokes here. I mean, you could have, why not both? A little more evened out, but that's just not what they wanted to do. Or they cut out more of the serious stuff.
I got to take that back. I said I have nothing bad to say about this, but I hated the goats. I hated the goats. From the first time, it was like, oh, okay, funny. Through the whole movie, I'm like, just stop with the goats. Okay, that's my one completely negative.
Yeah, I feel like I've completely come around on this because when I saw it, I liked it. I thought it's not great, but it was good enough. And I guess maybe I prepared myself for it a little better this time. And I went back and watched Ragnarok the other day again, and like I said, that style has grown on me. But I've seen a few people make a couple comments in the last couple days that I was thinking about this movie, and I think it's important that from the beginning of this movie, the narration is Korg.
Yeah.
And this is him telling these details and stories. And of course, Korg always over embellishes and mixes some stuff up and doesn't quite get it right. So I think a lot of people
that's their excuse for the silliness.
I think it was somewhat intended.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people missed out on that. Like, oh, okay, maybe this is, not quite.
That's how I took the Jean-Claude Van Damme splits and all that stuff. Like, this is Korg's vision.
Right.
But, yeah.
So, yeah, that kind of
we
helped me through it.
Yes. If you haven't realized by now, we're spoiling this movie, so we're going to get into plot details as well. So, yeah, the Guardians... I watched the first trailer, was the only thing I watched before. That's about as long as the Guardians were in the movie.
Yeah, really
how long they were in the trailer.
I expected a little bit more, maybe the first half, but
so I was totally surprised. Not that they were in it a little bit, but it kind of just finally dawned on me. Well, when they had the montage, they're showing him having adventures with them. He narrates that, and then I was like, oh, so we're not ever getting what I thought we were going to get, a movie that was, I thought like Guardians 3 was going to be him with them.
Yeah.
Like this, him with the Guardians on this adventure for a whole movie. And apparently that is not the case. Mm-hmm. Like they have that we just got a montage, and I was like, wow, that is not what I was expecting. I thought we were getting this big adventure with them.
Yeah.
I don't really care, honestly, but I thought we were doing that.
That's how I felt when they ended the first movie with Loki on the throne, and then just skipped to where, oh, we caught him. So, like, I thought we were going to get a story with Loki ruling Asgard. So, like, yeah, there's a lot. We've all gotten yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Huh. So, yeah, that was, I mean, they were there, and then they were gone pretty quickly. And it was like, boom, we're on to another story. I thought the same thing. I expected a lot of Guardians in it, and yeah, I can say I was a little disappointed in that. You know, I would have liked to see.
It was pretty well packed with stuff. You know, I don't know what more we could have squeezed them in.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I've never read the Jason Aaron stuff. So I was the whole time I was just like, I don't know whether this is in there or not, or this or that, you know. So feel free to compare and contrast as you talk about it.
Okay, well, yeah. So this is based on Jason Aaron had a long run on Thor, and his first arc with, I think it was Asad Ribic was the artist. His very first arc was Gorr the God Butcher. And it was like 11-issue storyline. And then from that, it went to the next thing. And then he got to Jane taking over. So, like, basically this whole movie is Jason Aaron's run on the book. And Gorr, it's a really good... I haven't read a ton of Thor, but this was really good. So, the comics, he first meets Gorr in, like, the 800 BC or whatever. He's hanging out with... He hadn't even picked up the hammer yet. He's still very young. He's just hanging out with Vikings who, you know, worship him, and they're good. They go pick fights everywhere, and he runs into this Gorr character, and just barely survives, and he thinks he killed him. And then it flashes millions of years in the future, where Thor is the king of Asgard, and is millions of years old, and all his friends are dead, and Gorr is still around, and still he's leaving Thor for last. He's going to kill all the gods, but Thor's going to watch. And so, like, Gorr's reign of terror lasted millennia. He killed millions of gods and was, like, Thor's number one. Like, Thor was afraid of this guy.
Yeah.
So the movie can't do that.
yeah,
So it showed, you know, those weird flower gods or whatever, and he killed them. And we saw there's a shot of the gods hanging on hooks. And then like a big like wolf god, like those were right. Those like right out panels from the comic.
Where was Jesus?
Carpenter god.
yeah,
I guess.
Carpenter God.
Yeah, we don't talk about him. So this movie obviously has to condense all that, but it also kind of dumbed it down, where it was easy. Oh, my gods have forsaken me. It started. In the comics, Gorr is already an atheist, and his people are dying out, and they're like, we just have to pray harder. The gods will save us. And he's like, you've doomed us. No one's coming to save us. So like, he is already like that, and gets, you know, further tragedies befall him because of the stupid, negligent gods.
Well,
and,
that opening, that cold open with Christian Bale, where they set up why he does what he does or whatever, you know, was freaking great.
Yeah,
like,
I thought he was
Christian
really
Bale
good.
was the best part of this movie. Like, he was, I mean, he is top 5 Marvel villain for me. Like, that was like, wow, you brought in a freaking actor. Like, this guy was killing it. He looked great, and he brought every bit. I thought he would even have some jokiness to him, and he did not. That was awesome. I thought he was awesome.
Yeah, he was terrific, but he was even cooler in the comics. So, you know,
wow.
Okay, everybody says that. But so the comics are darker and more tragic, and so that's the origin story. These two gods, you saw the black suited god died, and this golden suited god, like, they were fighting, and they just, you know, they wreck stuff, and like the god's like, yeah, I saved the day. He's like, you didn't do anything, you just destroyed it. So the dead god all in black has been basically retconned into Null, the god of the symbiotes.
Yeah.
So from Venom's home planet, that is their god. So when he gets this sword, all black, the Necro sword, that has ties to Venom's origin. You know, they're not going to get into that in the MCU, but yeah, so that was kind of a link. So when Null comes back later, he's got this sword, whatever. But see, this is the thing. Like, in the comics, basically Gorr won the argument. If you remember the unworthy Thor, he couldn't pick up the hammer for like 5 years in continuity. The reason was Thor thought Gorr was right. Gorr said the world would be better off without gods. You guys are pathetic, and you just cause more problems. You're more problem than you're worth. And it seeped into, like, Thor couldn't argue that. He's seen too much. So, but like, I don't know, just the movie can't get on those depths in 2 hours with a million other things going on and joke. So I don't know. It just, I wanted a little more complexity, a little more philosophy of Gorr's point, and that he wasn't just an evil, ruthless villain. Like, he thought, it's like Thanos. He thought he was doing the universe a favor, getting rid of all these gods. So.
Yeah, that's the same feeling I had. It's just like this. It's you can do it. You just can't do it and be jokey, hokey time. It's like it's a totally different movie.
Which I felt the same way with Jane. You know, the comics, this female Thor shows up. We didn't know who it was, so there was it was long drawn out. Who even is this? Then we learned she has cancer. We learn every time she transforms, the chemo stops taking effect. She loses the effect of the chemo every time she transforms. So she's becoming a hero, but she's killing herself. And so that took issues and months and years of her grappling with that and making the choice to continue to be a hero. And everything felt fast forwarded. Like it's all there. The kernel of it is all there, but we just there's just no way to do it. It's two very different formats.
Yeah, that's a heartbreaker, because that's the only taste most people will have of it, is that very simplified story. Other than that execution in that respect of what you want to see, the epicness of a story make it to the screen, that just was not going to be what we got. So that's why I told myself as I walked in, it's going to be silly. And so since I was in that frame of mind, I cringed a couple times, but I enjoyed myself for the most part.
Yeah, I did too, and I was okay with the screaming goats. They didn't bother me. I laughed.
What about the vowel buns?
Yeah, that one, it was a little Wreck-It Ralph is what it reminded me of. Like, I was like, okay, that's there. But and there were some jokes in there, little inside jokes about whatever Korg is, that god of his people, sitting on a Game of Thrones style throne made out of scissors rather than swords, because scissors rock beats scissors. So stuff like that was back in there. I was just kind of like, okay, it's silly, but I don't know, I maybe I was just in the mood for it, or didn't have whatever expectation out of it. Not having read that comic storyline, I really did enjoy it. I think it's a nice little take, having Taika Waititi in there and kind of spinning that franchise his own way, setting it apart a little bit. I've seen some criticism, but yeah, as far as the story went, with him leaving the Guardians and getting back on track and reuniting with these other characters, with Valkyrie and stuff like that, I enjoyed that enough. I really like Valkyrie. I wish we could.
This is the best. I almost think this is the most I've liked Tessa Thompson in anything. I like her. I've liked her and everything she's in, but I liked her Valkyrie better in this. Yeah, and I like her look in this was. I don't know. Something about her, I just thought she's great. I loved it. Nothing about what she did was bad. I wish there was more of her.
Yeah,
I think she got the shortest end of the stick as far as screen time.
Yeah, because they didn't go gay enough. Basically, they had this Marvel sprinkling of it with Korg and her, and
this was the gayest superhero movie ever. And it was barely gay.
Yeah,
it could have been more gay.
Right. There was so much. that they could have done, and they had the people, like, she's perfect. This was the time to lean into it and do something. They're gonna miss the boat here.
Yeah, I that was one thing criticism I did have is I could have went for a little bit more King Valkyrie, and dealing with the rest of the world and her power suits and all that, like, and looking utterly bored out of her mind. And like, the idea of turning New Asgard into a tourist trap with the cruise lines in the back and all that, and I was just like, oh, that's
theme park Cliff was like,
I was I was like, let's check out these rides.
Yeah. What did you got?
I feel like Chris Hemsworth is the most into this. Like, so many other actors were just in such a hurry to get out of their contracts and be done with all this.
Yeah.
I feel like he'll do this for the rest of his life.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I like him. I just watched that Spiderhead movie on Netflix. And it's like, I don't like you as be Thor. Quit doing this. You're not. He's like a scientist or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're too handsome to be a scientist. Stop it. You're Thor.
Well, he's too handsome to be this funny.
Right.
Also, that's ridiculous. You're supposed to. You're only funny when you've had to, like, suffer, and you've had to create some personality.
Yeah.
And now you just have it.
Yeah, it's way too easy for him.
You're not worthy.
And I also felt Natalie Portman, like, this was nice for her. In those first two movies, she's just kind of the girlfriend.
Yeah.
She's just in the background a little bit. So very unceremoniously ignored after the second movie. So this at least gives her some closure. She gets to come back on her own terms. She gets to be a hero, and we get something from her more than those first two movies.
Right. I freaking guarantee she had the Harrison Ford contract. She's like, oh yeah, I'm in for one movie. Kill my ass.
That's what I'm thinking. Is that why she came back? Because
Yeah.
100%.
But it ends with if she wanted to do more, she could come back.
If she Marvel's got to keep the door open. Marvel's still like, she's gone, but she may someday.
Go on. Yeah, let me tease this. In the comics, after she was a Mighty Thor, she became the next iteration of Valkyrie. So imagine a team-up movie of Jane as Valkyrie.
That's what I want.
Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie.
Yes.
We'll have Valkyrie duo.
Yeah, that would.
Never know.
That would be pretty sweet.
So let's just get to the end here. What do we think about the end? Loved. First off,
you're talking about Eternity, or?
Well, okay, that is cool to me. From after having read all these comics, Eternities. You always see Eternity there with just the outline and space, and I'm just like, that was cool. That was cool to see them even do that, even just talk about Eternity, and have that there, and then the whole. It's just the first one that gets there. It's the only one that gets the wish or whatever. That
which is a little bit like, all right, but I guess the comic ended. Gorr was building something called the God Bomb, and when this exploded, that would kill all the rest of the gods in the multiverse. So, like, okay, Eternity's no sillier than that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's just neat to see something that's been around forever, and it's like actually that they took the time to let normal people try to grasp what the hell's going on.
But, even the big fight at the end, though, that happened before that, with the kids, still for whatever reason kind of surprised me. When
I did not see that coming.
I was like, oh, that may have been one of my favorite parts of the movie, was just and establishing that they were the kids of Asgard, Heimdall's kid, and all this, and throwing that in there enough, and then when he gives says grab whatever you can around you, and I was just like, what is this gonna do, and gives them all the power of Thor. I was just like, I was like, oh, that is freaking awesome. I am loving this now. But
Michael was hyped about that scene too because he said there was a lot of Kirby influence there. Like all the weapons and stuff looked very Kirby-esque.
Yeah. I really did enjoy that part of it. I was like, that gives me a proper conclusion to that whole storyline with the kids being captured and this and that.
I can't believe we haven't really talked about the hammers. Like the whole like just the relationships with the hammers. Like that's like his significant other, and they're what is it called? It was three people.
Like polyamorous
love triangle.
Yeah, love triangle. He's like a love triangle with these hammers, and it's just like what that was just so funny to me. I was not expecting that. I love that they even they just confuse people with Mjolnir. Like people had to be going like, okay, what Mjolnir is that? How is there a broken one here? But they had it in Endgame, and where'd Cap take the other one? I'm just like, I know, but I bet a lot of people don't freaking follow that.
And I really love the simplicity of him asking it to protect her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all you need. Like, you don't have enchantments. We don't have, the worthiness that enter into it. It's like, no, the hammer is there to protect her, and then this is how it does it. Like, okay,
great.
that works. That's great.
Yeah.
Did it do the busted up stuff in the comics? Because I loved how it broke apart.
That was pretty cool and unexpected for me.
That I know of,
Yeah.
That was a cool idea.
Yeah, definitely. I the more I talk about it, it's one of those movies. The more I like.
Yeah. At the end with the girl. Okay, the little girl was really good. The little bit that she was acting, I was like, oh, they did a good job. She was believable in the way she acted and stuff. Sometimes they don't do it so well. So I thought she was good. There is any of that in there.
Nowhere that I know of.
It was pretty cool that all the kids in the movie were all, like all the entire cast, Taika Waititi's kids were in playing those roles. I found that out later, and I was just like, "Oh, that is."
Yeah, well, everybody took their kids. This was that kind of shoot.
Yeah,
they're like, "Hey, be in a movie."
It's like one of those old Adam Sandler movies where he gets all his comic friends together and they go to Hawaii and make a movie.
Grown Ups 12.
So,
Gorr's daughter is never resurrected or anything, as far as I know. But yeah, I was just like, who is she supposed to be now? Like, are we turning her into a character we're supposed to recognize eventually, or is it just, are we ever going to see this person again?
Or is this just the original character, and are they going to? Yeah, is she going to be one of these young?
Is this the Thor in Young Avengers? Yeah.
I think you have to at this point. I mean, they've announced, it said Thor will return. So I mean, you can't just drop it off.
The reveal of the Love and Thunder thing at the end, like the meaning of that or whatever, was neat. I was not expecting that. I was like, oh, that makes sense as a great title for the next movie. I don't know. He's really sure to use it here.
Yeah, I really dug his spaceship RV too.
Yeah,
I was like, that's such a dad thing, that RV.
Okay, we gotta get to post credits here because I am all about a Roy Kent Hercules. Hercules! I said it right there in the theater. I was like, yes!
It was so funny as the credits were rolling. Michael and I are sitting there, and he turns to me, and Michael says, I really thought it was going to have Hercules in it. I was like, me too, because I had seen on the internet these rumors about Roy Kent, being cast as Hercules.
Oh, I had not heard anything.
Me neither.
Yeah, I hadn't been spoiled that hey, he's in this movie, but there were rumors going around. Oh, he's going to be cast as Hercules. Oh, and then as we're watching,
I didn't know.
Yeah, as soon as Michael said that, it comes on screen, and we're like, oh shit, there it is.
Did we like Russell Crowe?
I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard a lot of complaints about his accent, and I've heard They recorded
not what I expected, but
they recorded two different versions. Every line he read twice in two different accents and everybody's like, you picked the wrong one or whatever. I don't care. I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
we're so used to those kind of things being British accents or for no real reason, but just that's the dignified God accent.
The Kenneth Branagh
be Greek?
directed.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I was totally okay with him. I thought he did a good job. I mean, and there were several funny parts, like when he's twirling that stupid lightning bolt like a baton and a band leader. You know, I was just like, oh my god, this is pathetic.
Talking about Hercules. I've collected Avengers forever, but he was in a lot of Avengers comics. He was a part of the group a lot. And so I assume at some point, whenever they shift the lineup further here in the next few years, I assume he will slot in as the Thor of the group.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what he was always there for. When it wasn't Thor, it was Hercules. When it wasn't Hercules, it was Ares, who I liked also. Actually, he would have made a great Ares, just like because he's mean anyway, acting like. But I'm excited at that idea. And then we had the final.
So, well, yeah, having read all these Avengers comics, was Hercules' personality in the comics a lot like the Thor movie personality? Like, he was the joke. He was the pompous, didn't quite understand what was going on and, like, was full of himself. Like, I feel like Thor was the straight man and Hercules was the clown. Where these movies have set Thor up as kind of clownish. So I'm like, do we take Hercules and try to make him even crazier? Or will Hercules be the stoic, serious god who thinks Thor should straighten up?
I think that's what they'll do. It's kind of a mix. He was the kind of a straight man. He was always just like, I'm fucking Hercules, he was always about boasting how fucking great he was,
And wasn't my understanding, wasn't the Hercules character kind of like almost like a rival for Thor?
Yeah.
Even though,
yes.
Playing the same...
but in a friendly way.
Yeah.
There was some scuffle, but it was a respect thing, but he was always very, just like you would expect. He was very boastful. I'm the strongest, yada yada. But there you go. What's the words on what's the balloons?
Stand aside, Thunder God. Walt Simonson's on vacation, and so art thou.
Yeah.
Assistant editor's month.
Yeah. He's just like, exactly that. I'm this, that could be very Roy Kent. He could pull that off.
Yeah.
I can't think of the actor's name.
Brett,
that's how
Brett Kavanaugh.
That's how he will be.
Goldstein.
How he.
Where did I get Kavanaugh?
Hey, Hercules likes beer too.
But that's how he will be. Is very boisterous, and I'm the baddest mofo,
Yeah.
And I saw people say he's not very big to be Hercules. I'm like, Kumail Nanjiani became Jack. Relax. Everyone has a personal trainer. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they can do this. Anyway, after post-credit scene, Valhalla,
Yeah.
Jane shows up there. So that's your chance for her to still be around. And it really I've never been a huge fan of the Thor stuff in the comics. I would love this new stuff. He was never my favorite Avenger. Like, my ideal lineup doesn't even have him in it because he was just so dry back in the day. Verily this, verily that. He wasn't this fun Thor from the movies. But so I never paid a heck of a lot of attention to the mythology and things, but they're definitely leaning into this mortal immortals. These gods can die. Takes a long time, but with that villain story, these guys, go on to Valhalla. But then, what happens? And won't they do something with this?
I feel like they've also been kind of reticent to play into the whole god thing. They're from another realm. They're being, people worship them as gods, but we're not saying, we're not getting into theology.
We don't want protests.
So we had Heimdall came back.
Yeah, really surprised me.
remember he wasn't on good terms, maybe, or some story like that. But
yeah, after they had killed him off, I saw a ton of stuff about how Idris Elba just wanted out of the Marvel movies, didn't want to do that anymore, and
I'm gonna assume it's Taika, and everybody wants to work with Taika.
Yeah, I
it's
guarantee that's the bridge back in. Yeah. He's probably friendly with Taika. Hell, before you know it, he'll have Natalie Portman doing Star Wars movies.
I can't believe he said that.
So the other cameos, did anyone recognize Daryl, the tour guide?
No.
In Asgard, there's a guy giving the tours, was Daryl, when they made those shorts with Thor's roommate back in the day.
Yeah.
They did the funny little things, DVD extras or whatever, and it was Thor moved in with this guy Daryl, which I had was just scanning around Disney Plus and saw those were on there. I'm like, I haven't watched these in ages, and I watched them. Literally just watched the night before I went to this movie, so I'm like, that's Daryl. I get it.
That paid off.
But yeah, so we had
they were there
Daryl,
for a reason.
Darcy was back.
Yep.
Yeah.
For just a quick moment. When she showed up, she's like, hey, what's going on? And there's a long pause. I'm like,
you weren't
waiting for the cheers? They're waiting for the cheers to die down. I was like, Darcy.
I don't know. That just was
Eric
awkward.
Selvig was on a Zoom call. So basically the whole Thor gang was back.
Yeah, which is, that the whole thing, bringing all those characters back from those first movies, those first two that were so drastically different. And
montaging us a retcon of how in love they were.
Yeah.
So the other big complaint is beyond this movie, but this whole phase is that where's it leading? Where are we going? What's the big picture? So there's this, I don't know where I stand on can't we just have fun standalone movies versus where are we going with this? What are we building towards? Because those early movies, everything was a step in a certain direction. They teased Thanos. They
everything was
different Infinity Stones. They teased new characters were going to team up, and we knew it was headed here. Now we don't know where anything's headed with all the Disney Plus series, all the movies that are coming out. Eternals doesn't seem to tie into anything. How is that tied into Spider-Man? This makes no sense. That's a multiverse. So I don't know where we're kind
Where's
of.
Dane Whitman? What's he doing?
Right, what the hell, man? They got Blade? They got horror guys? So we're adrift right now. I don't feel like I know people get paid millions of dollars to figure all this stuff out, but I feel like fans want to know. They want to know which direction we're going. And I'm kind of torn. Like, I do too, but I also, it's just, again, we're in movie 29, plus how many series, we can't, we can't start having all this homework, we need some standalone stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm not upset about it. I'm fine not knowing, but it definitely. I just hope that there was a plan. I mean, you see all these kids, so you definitely know you're going that direction. There's going to be some young kids, and we'd love to see. I would anyway. Love to see this Hickvengers stuff or whatever. The multiverse. I feel like they've really it almost feels like they've dropped the ball with the multiverse stuff. They did it, and they set it up here, we're going to have this multiverse, and then they've just barely leaned into it with these movies. So.
I think part of the problem was I had seen a timeline of when all of these movies were made, and they were basically all filmed kind of at the same time. And I think it's a product of not doing them in a certain order and just kind of getting them filmed. Pandemic. Yeah, and just to get them done, and then not everything fitting perfectly into a puzzle like the first 20 did. But on the other hand, we've talked about it. They're never going to be able to duplicate what they did in those first 10 years or whatever it was, 12 years, whatever it was. It's just not going to happen. And focusing more on directorial visions and styles rather than just that ultimate story. We have to hit points A, B, and C in this movie. Giving them a little bit of artistic expression in some of these movies, I think, especially Doctor Strange and these Thor movies have been that way. So I don't
Anybody know what's next? What's next?
Wakanda Forever?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Ant-Man.
We got Ant-Man. The Marvels are both. Ant-Man's, I think, free comic book day next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's probably Wakanda around Thanksgiving, maybe?
Okay.
Don't quote us, folks. There's
Yeah.
too many movies.
And
I mean, think back of Thor 1. When Thor 1 came out, like, he's going to meet Captain America and Iron Man. How
That's so
amazing is that?
crazy.
Like, that was all we needed in the world. That was all we needed. And now it's like, I don't know, Phase 7's not really living up to my expectations.
I can't wait to see what he does with Star Wars. I really can't.
You think Marvel fans aren't digging it? Imagine how Star Wars fans have not taken it
Yeah,
seriously.
exactly. That's what I was just gonna say. Like he's having a pretty rough couple of weeks here. He has no idea.
Star Wars fans are at each other's throats just on a regular Tuesday. Like
they're gonna eat him alive.
Oh, shit.
Careful what you wish for. You made it.
Yeah.
Now you're chum. Yeah.
Nah, he will bring balance to the Force. I feel like he's the chosen one. But yeah, overall, again, I feel like that it's a sliding scale of like, this was a fine, wonderful movie that I enjoyed, but I'm like, it was all right. So I don't know where I am. I have nothing to complain about, but it's just there's so much of this stuff that I can choose to be picky. So I'm just going to be picky and say, it was all right.
Oh, it's in my bottom half for sure.
I actually really enjoyed it. I really liked this one, so I might even take my wife and daughter to go see it again. Cooper saw it the same night I did. I was in the parking lot, and I see him and his girlfriend coming walking through. They're going to go see it right after we got out. So he really enjoyed it too. We kind of had about the same opinions of it. But yeah, I might go see it again if I get a chance.
Well, Michael,
Again,
why
not
know
make
some
this
people. You
Why
could go
not
with.
make this pivot? The first 25 were for the nerds. The first 25 were for the continuity guys, the comic history guys, the guys who wanted to, and now just do fun fan stuff, like for people to just go have a good time at the movies. Why not?
Yeah.
Why can't that be enough?
Yeah, that's okay. So we did it.
Yep. I was just going to say that.
So
Happy
I don't know.
to do it.
I don't know what more you know about that movie after all that, but we tried. Nothing lasts forever. We both know hearts can change. It's hard to hold a candle in the cold November rain. This has been our review of Thor: Love and Thunder. We are Ka-Pow, the Pop Culture Podcast, and my name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
Yeah, I honestly can't believe we didn't mention that they played 800 tracks off of Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah.
Goodbye forever.
Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast, @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/YouDownWithKPP for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.